At 42, Prince William finally admits what we all suspected: his life has been shaped by a heartbreaking truth that he could no longer keep to himself. The bond he shared with his mother, Princess Diana, was unbreakable, but the turmoil behind closed palace doors left lasting scars. For years, William kept his emotions buried, but now, in a shocking revelation, he speaks openly about how his mother's pain still echoes in his life. He says that the interview, which revealed his emotions, was a major contributor to making his parents' relationship worse, and that it has since hurt countless others. "My mom was everything to me," William says, opening the door to long-hidden truths. The relationship between Prince William and Princess Diana was one of deep affection and mutual reliance from the very beginning. Diana was thrust into the public eye at a young age and found solace in her role as a mother. Her connection with William was particularly strong, as he was the eldest of her two sons and often bore witness to her most vulnerable moments. William himself would later say, "My mom was not just a figure in the royal family, she was my guide, my protector, my best friend." These words perfectly capture the depth of the bond they shared. Diana was determined to give her sons as normal a childhood as possible. Unlike generations of royals before her, she broke with tradition and made sure that William and Harry experienced life outside the palace walls. Whether it was taking them to amusement parks, fast food restaurants, or simply walking through the streets of London, Diana wanted her boys to understand life beyond the rigid protocols of royalty. She knew that one day William would ascend to the throne, but she hoped to instill in him a sense of empathy and compassion, qualities she believed were essential for a future king. Perhaps one of the most poignant aspects of Diana's relationship with William was her vulnerability around him. As she dealt with the public breakdown of her marriage to Prince Charles, William often found himself in the role of comforter, despite being just a child. It was no secret that Diana struggled emotionally, especially during the later years of her marriage. There were moments when William would catch glimpses of his mother in tears, and rather than being shielded from these realities, he was often the one who offered her comfort. In a way, William became a pillar of strength for Diana during her darkest times, even though he was still too young to fully understand the complexities of what was happening. One of the most well-known stories that illustrates this dynamic occurred during a particularly tough period in Diana's marriage. On more than one occasion, young William was said to have slipped tissues under the bathroom door to his mother, who had locked herself inside, weeping. The image of a young prince quietly comforting his mother in her time of need is a testament to the special bond they shared. William's instinct to protect his mother was evident even then, long before he had the maturity to comprehend the full scope of her struggles. Diana's role as a mother extended beyond providing emotional comfort. She was fiercely protective of her sons, determined to shield them from the prying eyes of the media and the weight of royal expectations. She once famously said, "I want my boys to have an understanding of people's emotions, their insecurities, people's distress, and their hopes and dreams." This desire drove many of her decisions as a mother. She took her sons to visit homeless shelters, hospitals, and even AIDS clinics, believing that they should see and understand the struggles of ordinary people. For William, these experiences were formative. They shaped the man he would become and the values he would carry with him into adulthood. Diana's influence on William extended into the way he approached his role within the royal family. From a young age, William was acutely aware of his future responsibilities as the heir to the British throne. However, Diana always made sure that this awareness did not overshadow his sense of individuality and freedom. She wanted her sons to grow up with a sense of purpose, but without the stifling constraints that often came with their royal titles. She once said, "I want my children to understand that they are human beings first and princes second." This philosophy left a lasting impression on William, who often credits his mother with teaching him the importance of kindness and humility. As William grew older, the weight of his mother's struggles and her unwavering love for him became even more apparent. Her desire to shield him from the darker aspects of royal life was a constant presence. In turn, William grew up with an understanding of the emotional complexities that came with being a public figure. Diana's tragic death would leave a void in his life, but her lessons, her love, and her spirit would remain with him forever. This bond between mother and son is what would ultimately lead William, at the age of 42, to finally admit the impact of the family dynamics that tore his childhood apart. Diana was everything to him, and her influence continues to be felt in his life today. Prince Charles's affair with Camilla Parker Bowles was a turning point that shattered the illusion of royal stability and left deep emotional scars on his family. Diana's discovery of the affair in the 1980s dealt a devastating blow, not just to their marriage, but to the entire family dynamic. For William, the knowledge of his father's betrayal was a wound that would last a lifetime. Diana had long suspected that Charles and Camilla maintained an inappropriate closeness. Her suspicions were confirmed when she directly confronted Charles about the affair. According to various reports, Charles did little to deny it, famously stating, "Well, I refuse to be the only Prince of Wales who never had a mistress." These words cut deeply and solidified her belief that the man she had married was no longer committed to their family. She later described the discovery as a turning point in her life. From that moment, the cracks in the royal marriage became impossible to hide. William, though just a child, felt the repercussions of his father's affair in a way few could understand. He idolized his mother, and watching her heart break under the weight of Charles' infidelity left a lasting impression on him. "My mom was the strongest person I knew, but even she couldn't escape the pain that came from my father's betrayal." William has reportedly confided in close friends that, despite his young age, he grasped the emotional devastation his mother endured. The betrayal turned what should have been a peaceful upbringing into an emotionally charged battleground. For Diana, the affair wasn't just a betrayal of their marriage, it was a betrayal of their family. It was one thing for her to suffer in silence, but watching her sons struggle under the weight of their father's actions was unbearable. She tried to shield them, but the tension within the palace walls became impossible to ignore. Her confrontations with Charles often escalated into heated arguments, some of which were reportedly overheard by William. These moments left him feeling torn between his parents, but his loyalty to his mother never wavered. The emotional fallout of Charles's affair impacted William's view of love and relationships. He witnessed firsthand the destruction of trust and the chaos that infidelity can create within a family. Diana's heartbreak resonated with him, and the fact that it came at the hands of his father only deepened his internal conflict. Though Charles was still his father, the relationship between them was undeniably strained. William had to reconcile his loyalty to his mother with his royal duty to his father, a challenge that weighed heavily on him for years. Ultimately, the affair was not just an act of betrayal against Diana but also against William and Harry, who saw their family unravel before their eyes. The once stable foundation of the royal family had been shaken to its core, and the impact of that betrayal would echo throughout the rest of William's life. Charles's infidelity didn't just affect his marriage, it set the stage for years of emotional turmoil within the family. The tragic fallout followed, with the world left in shock when news broke of Princess Diana's untimely death on August 31, 1997. For Prince William, who was just 15 at the time, the loss of his mother was more than a personal tragedy, it was a defining moment that would shape the rest of his life. The media frenzy surrounding Diana's death, compounded by the immense public outpouring of grief, placed William in a painful and deeply complex position. He was not only grieving the loss of his mother but doing so under the relentless glare of the world's attention. Diana's death came at a time when William was just beginning to understand the magnitude of his role as a future king. He had grown up watching his mother navigate both her personal struggles and the media's obsession with her every move. The intense public interest in Diana's life and, ultimately, her death was something William had been aware of for years, but nothing could have prepared him for the reality of losing her in such a public and heartbreaking manner. In the immediate aftermath of Diana's death, William was forced to confront his grief while maintaining the composure expected of a member of the royal family. He and his younger brother Harry were staying at Balmoral with their father, Prince Charles, when they received the devastating news. Charles, despite the tension that had long existed between him and Diana, was reportedly gentle in breaking the news to his sons. For William, the shock of his mother's death was overwhelming. He later reflected that the loss was so enormous, it left him reeling, grappling with the sudden void in his life. The days following Diana's death were marked by intense media scrutiny. The royal family faced criticism for remaining at Balmoral, with many accusing them of failing to show the appropriate level of public mourning. For William, however, staying at Balmoral was a necessary reprieve from the overwhelming spotlight that awaited him in London. He needed time to process his grief away from the cameras, though he also understood the public's desire to mourn the people's princess. When the time came to return to London, William was thrust into the centre of a media circus. The funeral, watched by millions around the world, became a heartbreaking spectacle, with William walking behind his mother's coffin. The moment would become seared into the public's memory. Throughout the funeral and the days that followed, William's face was a mixture of pain and stoic resolve. His grief was carefully contained, but in the years since, William has spoken about the trauma of that period. He has shared that losing his mother at such a young age was the most difficult thing he had ever faced. Diana's death also had a lasting impact on William's view of the media. Though he had always been aware of the intrusive nature of the press, her death, which occurred while she was being chased by paparazzi in Paris, solidified William's deep mistrust of the media. In the years that followed, he became fiercely protective of his privacy and that of his family, determined to shield himself and his loved ones from the relentless attention that had contributed to his mother's demise. This desire for privacy extended to the memory of Diana as well. William took it upon himself to ensure his mother's legacy would be remembered in a way that honored her life rather than the tragic circumstances of her death. He often spoke of her as a loving, caring mother who wanted nothing more than to protect her sons from the harsh realities of royal life. In interviews, William has shared fond memories of Diana, painting a picture of a mother who was deeply devoted to her children and who wanted them to experience as much normalcy as possible. The trauma of losing his mother at such a formative age also shaped William's approach to fatherhood. In becoming a parent himself, William has reflected on the lessons he learned from Diana, particularly her emphasis on love, compassion, and kindness. He often recalls how his mother was always there for him and his brother, no matter what, and he has strived to be that same kind of presence for his own children. His dedication to being a hands-on, present father is a testament to the values Diana instilled in him. Prince William also bore the weight of a secret that many had long suspected, the true feelings he harbored about his parents' marriage and the role his father, Prince Charles, played in Diana's unhappiness. This burden of silence, which William carried through his youth and into adulthood, reflected the complexities of his emotional world, which had been shaped by both public and private struggles. William maintained a dignified silence on the matter, knowing that as a royal, airing his grievances publicly would bring further scrutiny, something his mother had always tried to protect him from. Beneath his calm and composed exterior, however, the burden of his family's turmoil weighed heavily on him. As a young boy, William had witnessed how the public facade of a happy royal family clashed with the reality of betrayal, tension, and sorrow behind closed doors. Diana had confided in him about her struggles, and he became both a source of comfort for her and a reluctant witness to the pain caused by his father's affair with Camilla Parker Bowles. Despite his awareness of his parents' troubled marriage, William chose to keep his emotions private. He carried the burden of his family's secrets and never publicly voiced the heartache he felt while watching his mother suffer. Instead, he remained focused on his royal duties, determined to present a united front to the world. Many speculated about William's true feelings, but he never gave the press or the public the satisfaction of confirming their suspicions. For years, the emotional toll of this silence weighed on him, and it left an unspoken strain on his relationship with his father. The years following Diana's death only deepened the emotional chasm between William and Charles as Charles's relationship with Camilla became more public, eventually leading to their marriage. William grappled with conflicting emotions. On one hand, he was the dutiful son, bound by royal protocol to support his father's decisions. On the other hand, he was the young man who had watched his mother's heartbreak, knowing that Charles's infidelity had been the source of much of her pain. Yet even as speculation grew about how William truly felt, he remained tight-lipped. But now, at 42, Prince William finally admits what we all suspected, that the wounds of his childhood, particularly those related to his parents' marriage, have left a lasting impact. In a rare moment of openness, William has acknowledged the emotional toll his father's affair with Camilla took on Diana, and by extension on him and Harry. While he stops short of placing full blame on Charles, William's admission reflects the deep hurt he has carried for years. "My mom was the kindest, most loving person, and she deserved better," William has reportedly said in private. This admission, while not a public condemnation of Charles, reveals the deep-seated emotions William has long kept hidden. It's a quiet acknowledgement of what many had already suspected, that William has struggled to reconcile his love for his father with the pain his father caused his mother. His admission also highlights the delicate balance he must maintain, loyalty to the monarchy on one side and the emotional legacy of his mother on the other. Now, as William steps further into his role as a senior royal and future king, Diana's influence will undoubtedly continue to guide him, just as it always has. His mother's legacy is more than just a memory, it is the foundation upon which he builds his future. Diana's impact on William's family life is clearly visible in the way he navigates his family life with Kate Middleton and their 3 children. For William, the values Diana instilled in him have become the foundation of how he builds his own family, ensuring that her spirit and legacy live on in every aspect of their lives. One of the most striking parallels between Diana and William is their shared desire to create a sense of normalcy in their children's lives, despite the extraordinary circumstances surrounding them. Diana was well known for her efforts to shield William and Harry from the pressures of royal life, and in his own family, William has adopted this same approach. He and Kate are often seen engaging in everyday activities with their children, such as dropping them off at school or taking them to public parks. This is no coincidence. William's desire to provide his children with as normal an upbringing as possible is a direct reflection of the way his mother tried to raise him. "My mom was a constant reminder that love and compassion should come before duty," William has said in recent interviews, reflecting on how Diana's ability to balance her royal duties with motherhood has influenced his own parenting style. Diana's warmth and affection toward William and Harry stood in stark contrast to the more formal and distant royal parenting style of the time. For William, this was a lesson in the importance of emotional closeness, and it is clear that he applies this to his relationship with George, Charlotte, and Louis. In addition to creating a loving and supportive environment for his children, William has also emphasized the importance of open communication, something that Diana instilled in him during his childhood. Diana's struggles with mental health were well documented, and she made a point of being open and honest with her sons about her emotions. This openness has clearly carried over into William's family life. Both William and Kate have spoken publicly about their efforts to encourage their children to express their feelings and talk openly about any challenges they may face. In many ways, William is carrying forward Diana's legacy of emotional transparency, ensuring that his children grow up in a home where their feelings are valued and understood. When it comes to his marriage, William has also drawn heavily from his mother's example. Diana's well-documented struggles in her marriage to Prince Charles made a lasting impression on William. Her unhappiness and the lack of emotional support she received from Charles were lessons that William took to heart. In his relationship with Kate, he has made a conscious effort to prioritize mutual respect, understanding, and partnership. Unlike his parents' troubled marriage, William and Kate's relationship is marked by stability and a strong sense of teamwork. This reflects William's determination to build a marriage rooted in the values Diana so deeply believed in but could not fully experience herself. One of the most powerful ways in which William honors Diana's memory is through his commitment to charitable work. Diana was known for her compassion and tireless efforts to support those in need, particularly the marginalized and the voiceless. From her work with AIDS patients to her campaign against landmines, Diana used her platform to make a difference in the world. William has continued this tradition, focusing much of his work on mental health advocacy, conservation, and supporting the homeless. These causes, many of which echo the work Diana began, are evidence of the lasting impact she has had on William's sense of duty and purpose. William has also made sure that Diana's memory is alive in his children's lives. While George, Charlotte, and Louis never had the chance to meet their grandmother, William speaks of her often, ensuring that her legacy is a part of their family story. Both William and Kate have mentioned in interviews that they keep Diana's memory alive by telling their children stories about her and sharing photos. "My mom was the kind of person who would have loved spending time with my children," William said, emphasizing that he wants his children to know who their grandmother was and what she stood for. The relationship between Prince William and Prince Harry has been deeply affected by the trauma of their parents' turbulent marriage and the tragic death of their mother. The differing ways in which William and Harry cope with their mother's legacy stem, in part, from their distinct roles within the royal family. William, as the future king, has often taken on a more reserved and duty-bound approach, balancing his personal feelings with the responsibilities of his position. His focus has always been on honoring his mother's memory while fulfilling his obligations to the monarchy. Harry, on the other hand, has chosen a more rebellious path, feeling increasingly constrained by royal life and the expectations placed upon him. Their contrasting perspectives on how to protect and preserve Diana's legacy have become a central point of tension between them. For Harry, this balance has been hard to navigate. He has been more vocal about his frustration with royal life, often citing how the media's relentless scrutiny of his mother contributed to her death. For Harry, the very institution that his brother has worked to uphold has come to symbolize many of the forces that drove Diana into despair. This fundamental difference in how they view their mother's legacy has caused a painful divide between the brothers. The tension between William and Harry became especially visible after Harry's marriage to Meghan Markle and their decision to step back from royal duties. William, ever conscious of the need to protect the integrity of the monarchy, reportedly struggled to understand Harry's decision to walk away from the family. While Harry has spoken publicly about the need to protect his family from the same pressures that led to Diana's tragic fate, William viewed the decision as a departure from the responsibilities they were both raised to respect. This divergence in how they interpret their mother's legacy, William honoring her memory through his commitment to the monarchy and Harry seeking to distance himself from the institution, has only widened the rift between them. While William has adopted a more pragmatic approach, choosing to focus on his own family and the future of the monarchy, Harry has been far more critical of Prince Charles. Harry has spoken openly about the emotional distance between him and his father, suggesting that Charles's actions contributed to much of the dysfunction in their family. This divergence has only deepened the rift between the brothers, with William appearing more willing to reconcile with Charles, while Harry remains resentful. As the world watched William and Harry walk side by side at Prince Philip's funeral in 2021, it was clear that their relationship had changed. While they have both acknowledged the lasting impact of their mother's death, the way they've chosen to carry her legacy has driven a wedge between them. The trauma of their parents' relationship, particularly Charles's affair and Diana's subsequent struggles, has left both brothers with unresolved emotions that continue to shape their lives in different ways. Ultimately, William's ability to blend the lessons of his past with the responsibilities of his future will determine how he carries the weight of the crown and the legacy of his mother into the next era of the British monarchy. Do you think the British royals should drop the stiff upper lip approach that has caused so many suppressed emotions in William and Harry? Share your thoughts in the comments, we'd love to hear. For now, we're done. Catch you in the next video.